What if everything you've been told about reality is a lie? What if the walls of your life were painted by those who feared your power? From your first breath, a silent veil of illusion was drawn over your eyes. Not by mistake, but with precision. Time, death, limitation, taught as facts, yet crafted tools of control. But hidden in the silence of symbols and forgotten scrolls is something ancient. These are not quotes. They are keys. Not philosophy, but functional codes to awaken the part of you that was never asleep, only silenced. These are the 100 teachings of Thoth you were never meant to hear. But once you do, you won't see reality the same way again. Comment: I remember if your soul feels this truth deep within. Let the signal spread. Lesson 1. Reality was designed to deceive. From your first breath, you were initiated, not into truth, but illusion. Systems of power trained you to see limits, worship linear time, and believe death is the end. But beneath this global hypnosis lies something ancient, a field of consciousness that bends to your awareness. Thoth knew this, and encoded it in hidden geometry. Not scripture. What you call reality is just a shared hallucination built on control. Break the illusion, and you break their power. Lesson 2. Thought is the architect of matter. Thoth's most dangerous teaching was simple. All is mind. Not poetic, literal. Your thoughts shape form. Your beliefs anchor probability, and your emotions energize creation. What you feel isn't random. It's a frequency pattern reflecting your inner state. Your world doesn't happen to you. It happens through you. When the mind becomes master, the world becomes malleable. Thought is not noise. It is code. Lesson 3. Frequency is the blueprint of form. Everything that looks solid is actually vibrating. The chair, your hand, your memories, all coded energy condensed into visibility. Thoth called this the great mental plane. The ancients knew what modern quantum science now confirms. Shift the frequency and the form follows. Change your vibration and you change your life. Not symbolically, but literally. The visible world is just a frozen echo of invisible rhythms. Lesson 4. Belief unlocks reality. What you truly believe becomes law within your field. Not wishful thinking, but energetic alignment. You've been told belief is soft, a feeling, not a force. But Thoth taught that belief is the lever of transformation. A weak belief creates fog. A firm one reshapes the field. Most people live in recycled doubt, never realizing they're manifesting their own prison. Lesson 5. Consciousness is causal. Cause and effect do not start in the physical. They begin in consciousness. What you call external events are echoes of your internal coherence, or chaos. Thoth didn't teach escapism. He taught sovereignty. Align your inner state, and the world bends with you. Misalign it, and the world resists you like a storm. This isn't philosophy. This is mechanics. Lesson 6. Alignment is the true ritual. Rituals aren't about candles or costumes. Thoth said they're symbolic acts to align thought, emotion, and intention with higher law. Without alignment, even the best ritual is hollow. But with inner coherence, even silence becomes sacred. Real power isn't noisy. It hums. Once your inner world sings in tune, the universe responds like a mirrored symphony. Lesson 7. Symbols were survival codes. Thoth didn't trust the empire with truth. So he hid it in symbols, riddles, and sacred geometry. Not to confuse, but to protect. The uninitiated would mock it. The seekers would decode it. What looks like ancient art is really encrypted instruction. Circles, spirals, eyes, snakes, these are not decorations. They are dimensional diagrams disguised as myth. Lesson 8. Systems were built to distract. The education you received, the religion you were fed, even the language you speak, they were never neutral. They are programs designed to reduce your mind's reach. Thoth's teachings were buried because they make you ungovernable. If you knew that thought creates, that time bends, and death transforms, you wouldn't obey. You'd awaken, and the system fears that more than rebellion. Lesson 9. Time is not a line. You've been taught time moves forward like a clock. But Thoth revealed a deeper truth. Time spirals. The past and future are not destinations, but layers of the now. Your memories are echoes, not history. Your intuition is not guessing, it's accessing. When you shift your awareness, you don't just think differently. You exist differently. Lesson 10. Death is a transition, not an end. Fear of death is society's deepest control mechanism, but Thoth called death a great portal. A shift in vibration, not a collapse. Your consciousness does not vanish, it migrates. To him, death was not punishment, it was continuation. A soul calibrated in life travels clearly in death, not through superstition, but through preparation and frequency. Lesson 11. You are a multidimensional system. Thoth taught that humans are not singular beings. You are a layered system: body, energy, emotion, thought, spirit. Each layer speaks a different language. Each must be tuned. Most live in fragments, disconnected and distorted. But when your layers harmonize, you unlock access to planes of reality invisible to the sleeping mind. Awakening is not magic, it's structure. Lesson 12. Power without wisdom is destruction. Not all who awaken use truth for light. Thoth warned that power must be balanced by inner mastery. That's why his real teachings were hidden behind initiation, not to exclude, but to test readiness. An undisciplined mind can weaponize frequency. A wise one tunes it with reverence. That's why the gate was never locked, just invisible, until you became a line. Lesson 13. Emotion is fuel, not flaw. In Thoth's system, emotion isn't weakness, it's energetic propulsion. Whatever you feel becomes amplified through the field. Joy accelerates manifestation. Fear calcifies it. Emotion is frequency in motion, and your emotional tone sets the course of your reality. The system taught you to suppress emotion, to remain predictable. But Thoth taught you to feel with intention, not repression. Master emotion, and you master momentum. Lesson 14. Intuition is intelligence beyond logic. Thoth never separated wisdom from intuition. He saw it as the mind's signal from higher frequencies. Intuition is not guessing. It's remembering. It's access to the field's deeper knowing. Every time you doubt your gut, you reinforce disconnection. But when you listen with silence, clarity rises. Intuition is the compass the system tried to break, because it leads you where control cannot follow. Lesson 15. The soul speaks in symbols. Dreams, déjà vu, repeating numbers, archetypes. They're not random. Thoth said the soul communicates in images because images bypass the ego. A symbol can carry pages of information in a flash of insight. When you learn to decode your personal symbols, you become fluent in your own divine language. The world is always speaking. You just have to stop thinking in straight lines. Lesson 16. Silence is an operating system. The most advanced ritual Thoth taught was silence. Not just the absence of sound, but the stillness that precedes creation. In silence, your field resets. In stillness, frequencies realign. Modern life floods you with noise to keep you distracted from this truth. But in silence, clarity bloomed. To hear the universe, you must stop speaking the language of the system. Lesson 17. Geometry holds consciousness. Sacred geometry wasn't ornamental. It was Thoth's architecture of thought. Circles, triangles, spirals. They weren't just shapes, they were consciousness containers. The ancients carved them into stone, not to decorate temples, but to encode fields of awareness. Every true temple was a frequency machine, and every shape was a key, unlocking what the rational mind could never hold. Lesson 18. Energy never lies. Thoth warned against mistaking appearance for truth. He said, "Do not trust the robe, but the rhythm." People lie. Energy doesn't. You can fake words, smiles, even miracles. But your frequency tells the truth. If someone drains your field, believe that. Your body knows before your mind catches up. Trust the hume beneath the surface. That's where truth lives. Lesson 19. Karma is pattern, not punishment. To Thoth, karma wasn't a divine scorecard. It was a rhythm of repetition, a loop sustained by unawareness. Patterns repeat, not to punish, but to teach. The moment you recognize a loop and choose differently, you rewrite the code. Karma isn't fate, it's feedback. And the more conscious you become, the faster the cycle shifts. Choice is the antidote to repetition. Lesson 20. Memory lives in the field. Thoth taught that memory isn't locked in your brain. It floats in the field. Trauma, inspiration, past lives, they're not stored in cells, but in frequency layers. When you raise your vibration, new layers of memory activate. That's why awakenings feel like remembering. You're not learning, you're tuning. Your mind is the receiver. The field holds the library. Lesson 21. Resistance is a mirror. When something triggers you, that's not failure, it's instruction. Thoth said resistance shows where your energy clashes with your evolution. Every annoyance, fear, or emotional charge is a doorway. Behind each trigger is a truth you've been avoiding. Your reaction is the guide. Use it, learn its frequency. Resistance doesn't block the path. It is the path. Lesson 22. Initiation begins with observation. You don't need a robe or ritual to begin Thoth's path. Initiation starts with noticing your thoughts, reactions, patterns. Observation is activation. Once you begin witnessing without judgment, you stop being a puppet of programming. You become a participant in your own unfolding. Awareness is the first temple. The observer is the first priest. Lesson 23. Control is the opposite of power. The more you try to control, the more you reveal your fear. Thoth taught that real power flows from coherence, not control. Control chokes frequency. Power expands it. The system trains you to cling to outcomes, approval, schedules. But the truth is, release sharpens awareness, and in surrender, you reclaim the energy wasted on force. Lesson 24. Identity is a costume, not. Thoth warned. The ego wears many masks, but none are you. Your identity is a lens, useful, but not sacred. When you cling to labels, roles, or personas, you forget your source. You are not your story. You are the presence, reading the script. True transformation begins the moment you stop defending the character and start listening to the current beneath it. Lesson 25. Awareness is the real temple. Thoth taught that the highest altar isn't built from stone, but from presence. You don't need incense, chants, or candles to access the divine. You need stillness, attention, and truth. Awareness, sustained, clear and quiet, is the sacred space where all transformation begins. The body is the gate. The breath is the key. The moment you enter the now fully, the temple reveals itself. Lesson 26. Language can trap or liberate. Words are spells. Thoth knew this deeply. Every phrase you speak casts a frequency into the field. Language can program you with limits or liberate you with intention. Most of what people say is recycled noise, coded with fear and confusion. But when you speak from clarity, your voice becomes a wand. Every sentence becomes a spell of creation or destruction. Lesson 27. Symbols unlock the subconscious. Why do some shapes feel ancient, familiar, or oddly emotional? Because Thoth used them as access points, tools to bypass logic and awaken the deep mind. The subconscious doesn't understand lectures. It responds to patterns, images, rhythm. That's why real transformation often begins in dreams or symbols. Learn to read them, and you'll unlock the language of your soul. Lesson 28. Ritual is remembering. Ritual was never about religion. It was about rhythm, syncing your system with the greater field. Thoth used rituals to encode memory into motion. Lighting a flame, tracing a circle, breathing in rhythm. These weren't ceremonies. They were alignments. Each gesture brought the physical in tune with the eternal. A true ritual isn't performance. It's participation in the living cosmos. Lesson 29. The observer creates the outcome. Modern physics stumbled upon what Thoth knew millennia ago. Observation alters reality. Not metaphorically, literally. What you look at with intention shifts. Your awareness carries a frequency that changes the outcome. That's why your focus is sacred. The moment you observe something with clarity and presence, you collapse possibilities into form. That's the art of conscious creation. Lesson 30. The all is a frequency, not a deity. Thoth spoke of the all, but not as a god to kneel before. The all is consciousness, a unified field vibrating through all forms. It is not outside of you. It pulses through you. Prayer isn't asking. It's aligning. Worship isn't kneeling. It's remembering. The all does not need praise. It responds to coherence. To feel it, you must become still enough to resonate with it. Lesson 31. Coherence is the hidden law. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions are in alignment, the field opens. This is coherence. And Thoth taught that it is the true power behind manifestation. Chaos within creates distortion without. But coherence within turns the world into a mirror that reflects harmony. Most people try to change life externally. But coherence turns your being into the command center. Lesson 32. The universe doesn't respond to desire. It responds to vibration. Thoth made this clear. The universe is not swayed by what you want. It responds to what you are. Your vibration is your signature. Desire without alignment is just noise. But when your inner frequency matches your vision, reality bends. Manifestation isn't wishful thinking. It's harmonic tuning. Want less. Align more. Lesson 33. Thought without emotion is powerless. A thought without emotional charge is like a spark without fuel. Thought's system required both mind and heart to ignite reality. You must feel what you think. The field doesn't respond to hollow ideas. It responds to embodied frequency. That's why clarity is not enough. You must combine it with conviction. That fusion is the frequency that reshapes your world. Lesson 34. You don't heal by escaping. You heal by facing. Thoth didn't offer shortcuts. His path required presence, especially in pain. Healing isn't found by avoiding the wound, but by entering it consciously. Your shadows are not enemies, they're echoes of disconnection. When you face them with awareness, they dissolve, not because they disappear, but because you remember the light behind them. Pain is a portal. Walk through it. Lesson 35. Spiritual growth is a process, not a peak. Enlightenment isn't a moment. It's a movement, a spiraling return to alignment over and over again. Thoth described it as refinement, not arrival. Most people chase bliss and think it's the goal. But true awakening is messy. It burns illusions. It strips away identities. It reveals the raw self beneath. And it keeps going, always deeper, always inward. Lesson 36. Humility is the compass of power. Thoth warned, ego loves to hijack awakening. When you start to see truth, the temptation to elevate yourself is strong. But real wisdom makes you quieter, not louder. Humility is not weakness. It's the sign you've touched something bigger than your name. The more you align with universal law, the less you need to prove. The path is not about image, it's about integration. Lesson 37. Triggers are teachers in disguise. When something shakes you, it's not just emotion, it's information. Thoth taught that triggers reveal where your field is out of tune. Instead of reacting, observe. Instead of suppressing, listen. That discomfort is the soul whispering through the wound. Every reaction is an invitation to realign. The trigger is not the enemy. It's the hidden curriculum of your evolution. Lesson 38. Your body is an instrument of consciousness. Thoth didn't separate the spiritual from the physical. He taught that your body is not just a vessel, it's a technology. Each organ, each breath, each motion plays a role in your frequency field. Neglecting the body disconnects you from the signal. Care for it. Tune it. Listen to it. The divine isn't somewhere above. It hums in your cells. Lesson 39. Knowledge without embodiment is illusion. You can read every sacred text, recite every teaching, and still remain asleep. Thoth warned, if knowledge stays in the mind, it becomes noise. It must be felt, lived, walked. Otherwise, it becomes another layer of ego, a mask of wisdom with no root. Embodiment is what makes the difference between a seeker and a sovereign. Lesson 40. Stillness is a higher frequency than noise. The system glorifies hustle, stimulation, and distraction. But Thoth taught that stillness is not absence. It's power condensed. In stillness, you hear the subtle. In stillness, time softens. Wisdom emerges not from doing more, but from being more present. Silence is where you hear the voice that never speaks, but always knows. Stillness is not retreat, it's return. Lesson 41. Your life is a frequency mirror. You're not just living life, you're projecting it. Thoth showed that what you encounter externally is your internal vibration. Reflected. Relationships, events, patterns, they mirror your resonance. This is not blame, it's blueprint. Shift your energy and reality rearranges. Don't fix the mirror, change the signal you're sending. The world adjusts when you do. Lesson 42. Sacred geometry is more than aesthetic. Triangles, spirals, circles, they aren't just mystical designs. They are structural codes that hold fields of consciousness. Thoth used them, not to decorate scrolls, but to store truth. Each angle, ratio, and curve contains a frequency pattern. When you meditate on these shapes, you awaken ancient memory. Sacred geometry is the hidden syntax of creation. Lesson 43. Discomfort is a signal of expansion. Growth doesn't feel like peace. It feels like chaos right before the breakthrough. Thoth taught that the pressure before transformation is not punishment, it's recalibration. Just like heat purifies gold, discomfort refines your frequency. Stop avoiding the stretch. Breathe into it. Trust the burn. You're not breaking. You're becoming. Lesson 44. The field remembers all. Thoth said, memory is not trapped in time or brain. It lives in the field. Every word you've spoken, every thought you've repeated, every action you've taken, echoes. The universe is a vast recorder of frequency. Healing doesn't delete the past. It rewrites the signal. When you shift your vibration, the field begins to echo a different song. Lesson 45. Sovereignty begins with self-responsibility. Blame is the bait of the system. Thoth made it clear. Power can't grow where victimhood is rooted. When you claim full responsibility for your thoughts, emotions, and alignment, you become sovereign. Not perfect, but powerful. The moment you stop outsourcing your reality, the chains start falling off. Self-mastery begins where blame ends. Lesson 46. The veil is maintained by distraction. You were never meant to forget. But every scroll of endless feeds, every dopamine-fueled loop, every meaningless conflict, it adds static. Thoth warned that distraction is not random, it's engineered. To pierce the veil, you must starve the noise. Attention is sacred currency. Where you place it builds your temple or your prison. Choose wisely. Lesson 47. The soul is a frequency signature. You are not your thoughts. You are not your trauma. You are not your story. You are a frequency signature, a field of consciousness expressing through form. Thoth described the soul as light encoded with memory, purpose, and potential. When you remember that truth, you stop shrinking to fit the roles. You expand into who you've always been. Lesson 48. Awakening is a return, not a revolution. You don't need to become someone new. You need to unbecome who you were trained to be. Thoth taught that awakening is not about adding. It's about stripping away. Beneath the noise, the wounds, the programs, there's a version of you, untouched by the world. That's the one awakening, not an invention. A return. Lesson 49. Presence is a portal. Thoth taught that the present moment is not just time. It's a gateway. Most people live in the past or the future, missing the only place transformation is possible, now. When you anchor your awareness fully in the moment, time folds, synchronicities appear, energy sharpens. Presence is not just mindfulness, it's magic. It tunes your field into the rhythm of the all. Lesson 50. Awareness is the only authority. Institutions teach you to bow to credentials, titles, and systems. But Thoth insisted, your inner awareness is your highest teacher. Truth isn't found in textbooks. It's felt in the core. When something resonates deeply, beyond logic or proof, that's alignment. Trust it. When you reclaim inner authority, the outer noise loses power. Awareness doesn't ask for permission. It knows. Lesson 51. Every pattern has a root. Thoth revealed that all repeating struggles, emotional pain, failed dreams, broken relationships, are surface reflections of deeper roots. You don't heal by fixing symptoms. You heal by tracing the signal to its origin. When you find the root pattern, the whole web unravels. Surface work keeps you cycling. Inner work sets you free. Lesson 52. Polarity is the dance of creation. Light and dark, joy and pain, expansion and contraction. These are not enemies. Thoth described the universe as a dance of polarities. You can't escape them, but you can balance them. Resistance to one pole strengthens it. Integration dissolves it. Mastery isn't found in light alone. It's found in the center where both dissolve into truth. Lesson 53. The higher self is not far away. People imagine their higher self as a distant being, a spirit in the clouds. But Thoth taught that it's not far. It's the silent awareness behind your thoughts, waiting to be embodied. You don't need to find it. You need to align with it. When you act in truth, presence, and clarity, the higher self takes form through you. Lesson 54. Trauma freezes frequency. Thoth understood trauma, not as memory, but as distortion. When something overwhelms you, your field freezes. That frozen energy stays locked in the body, repeating in thought, attracting matching experiences. But awareness thaws it, not through force, but through safe presence. Healing is not erasing what happened. It's restoring flow to where it was stopped. Lesson 55. Simplicity is the sign of truth. Complex teachings often hide confusion or ego. Thoth valued clarity over cleverness. Truth is elegant. When something is real, it doesn't need 10 layers of justification. The mind may crave complexity, but the soul relaxes into simplicity. Real wisdom feels like remembering, not learning. Truth rings. Listen for the tone, not the words. Lesson 56. Fear is a signal, not a stop sign. Fear isn't always danger. Thoth called it a signal of misalignment, or a boundary before breakthrough. Instead of running from it, learn from it. Ask, is this fear warning or initiation? Your fear often guards the path to your next evolution. The moment you face it with presence, it loses control and becomes a doorway. Lesson 57. You don't need permission to awaken. Thoth warned that waiting for external validation is a trap. You don't need a teacher to certify your truth. You don't need a temple to begin the work. If your awareness is stirring, you're already on the path. Let go of the idea that someone else must say go. The gate is already open. Walk through it. Lesson 58. Resistance hides in distraction. Sometimes the ego doesn't shout. It seduces. Thoth explained how resistance can show up as busyness, entertainment, even productivity. But it's all avoidance in disguise. When you delay the real work with noise, you stay asleep with your eyes open. Learn to pause, to feel the discomfort. That silence is where resistance reveals its face and releases. Lesson 59. True power is quiet. Power doesn't announce itself. Thoth said it moves like breath, subtle, vital, unassuming. Ego wants recognition. Truth requires none. The deeper your alignment, the less you need to explain. Real power doesn't conquer. It attracts. It doesn't fight. It resonates. You don't need to shout when your field speaks louder than words. Lesson 60. The field is always listening. Every thought, every whisper, every emotion, none of it is lost. Thoth taught that the universe is responsive, not random. When you complain, it reflects it. When you bless, it multiplies. The field doesn't judge. It mirrors. Speak with care. Feel with intention. Your reality is shaped by what you consistently broadcast, not what you occasionally wish. Lesson 61. Your environment echoes your energy. Thoth taught that the space around you is never neutral. It amplifies or distorts your internal frequency. The clutter, the sounds, the people, all either drain or charge your field. Rearranging your space can realign your spirit. Clean your surroundings, and you clean your signal. The outer reflects the inner. Adjust the environment, and you adjust the current. Lesson 62. Dreams are dimensional messages. Thoth never dismissed dreams as illusions. He saw them as portals, messages from other layers of the spiral. Every dream, especially the strange ones, carries symbolic codes. Don't brush them off. Record them. Reflect on them. You're not just dreaming, you're receiving. The dream world is a training ground, a mirror, and sometimes a map. Lesson 63. You're already connected to the all. You've been taught to seek, to reach, to chase the divine. But Thoth said, you've never been disconnected. The all flows through your breath, your cells, your thoughts. The illusion isn't separation, it's forgetfulness. When you sit in silence and simply be, the connection becomes undeniable. You don't need to ascend, you need to remember. Lesson 64. Suffering comes from misalignment. Pain is part of life, but prolonged suffering is a signal. Thoth explained that most suffering comes when your thoughts, emotions, and actions contradict each other. The soul contracts, the body tenses, reality resists. Alignment doesn't eliminate challenge, it makes it flow. When your inner world is in harmony, even pain becomes purposeful, not punishment. Lesson 65. You are the ritual. Thoth's most powerful revelation was this. You don't need external tools. You are the altar. Your breath is the chant. Your awareness is the offering. Sacredness isn't something you enter. It's something you become. When your life is lived with intention, every act becomes sacred. The true ritual is your presence in motion. Lesson 66. The system fears still minds. Why does modern life push constant distraction? Because stillness is dangerous to control. Thoth knew that in silence, truth rises. When the mind settles, the soul speaks. A still mind questions. It sees through illusion, and that clarity breaks the spell. That's why stillness is rebel energy in a distracted world. Your quiet presence is your loudest revolution. Lesson 67. Awakening is not always comfortable. People chase spiritual awakening, expecting bliss. But Thoth warned, it's not always gentle. Awakening can feel like death, because parts of you must dissolve. The lies, the masks, the roles, they fall away. This is the sacred fire, burning the false to reveal the real. If it hurts, you're not failing. You're unfolding. Stay with Lesson 68. Every choice is a frequency shift. Nothing is small in the field. Thoth said every decision, from thought to action, sends out a vibrational ripple. The food you eat, the word you speak, the silence you hold, they all tune your field. You don't need a big leap. You need small, aligned choices repeated consistently. That's how the spiral turns. Lesson 69. The ego fears the void. Stillness, silence, surrender. These feel threatening to the ego. Thoth described the void, not as emptiness, but as fertile space. The ego wants noise to feel alive. But in the void, the soul breathes. If you're afraid of the pause, go deeper. The void is not absence. It's the womb of new creation. Lesson 70. Everything external is a reminder. Thoth said that signs, synchronicities, challenges, they aren't random. They're reminders. The world is a living oracle, echoing your inner state. When you see repeated numbers, odd timings, or emotional mirrors in others, it's the field speaking back. Ask, what is this showing me? Life is always reflecting your lesson in a language unique to your soul. Lesson 71. Energy moves in spirals, not lines. Linear thinking traps the soul. Thoth taught that evolution is spiral, revisiting the same lessons at higher levels. You may feel stuck, but you're actually cycling upward. Don't judge the return. Notice the depth. Each time you revisit the pattern, you bring more awareness. That's how consciousness expands, in elegant, sacred spirals. Lesson 72. Stillness is the source of all motion. Every movement in the cosmos emerges from stillness. Before the spiral turns, before light splits, there is the void. Thoth called this the pregnant silence, the infinite potential. When you sit in stillness, you access the origin of all creation. Don't just act. Listen. Don't just speak. Pause. The universe begins in quiet. Lesson 73. Time is a frequency loop. To Thoth, time wasn't a straight line. It was a looping spiral that bends to consciousness. You're not walking through time. Time unfolds through you. Past and future aren't fixed. They're frequencies waiting to be tuned. The more aware you become, the more access you gain. Memories, visions, déjà vu, these aren't accidents. They're time echoes, triggered by your current vibration. Lesson 74. Words build or break the field. Thoth taught that words are not just sound, they're structure. Every syllable spoken carries weight in the unseen. Words can strengthen your energetic field or unravel it. The careless use of language spreads static, but truth spoken with clarity sharpens the field like a sword. Speak only what aligns. Every word is either a spell or a fracture. Lesson 75. Emotional honesty is energetic integrity. Many hide their feelings to maintain appearances, but Thoth warned that suppression breeds distortion. If your field is broadcasting peace while your core vibrates fear, you fracture internally. Emotional honesty is not indulgence, it's integrity. Steer truth, feel it fully, then move with clarity. That alignment creates coherence. Pretending peace only deepens the noise. Lesson 76. Pain is compressed power. The moments you resist most are often your greatest teachers. Thoth viewed pain as condensed light, wisdom wrapped in intensity. If you avoid it, it festers. If you face it, it transforms. Pain is not punishment. It's potential. In its core is the memory of your true power, trying to rise through the cracks. Lesson 77. Curiosity is a sacred frequency. The system wants you numb or obedient. But Thoth praised curiosity as divine instinct. When you ask what if, you activate dormant codes. Inquiry isn't doubt, it's ignition. The moment you question with wonder, you open portals. Curiosity isn't distraction, it's direction. Follow it like a thread. It often leads straight to remembrance. Lesson 78. Nature is a living archive. Thoth said the earth itself stores wisdom, trees, rivers, mountains, even the air. Modern systems call it scenery, but the ancients called it the living temple. Sit with a stone. Breathe with a tree. You'll begin to remember what books cannot teach. Nature holds frequencies unfiltered by man. It speaks when you listen, not with words, but with presence. Lesson 79. Choice bends the timeline. Fate is not fixed. Thoth revealed that every choice you make shifts your position on the spiral. Each decision sends ripples through time, collapsing one future and birthing another. Indecision freezes the field. Aligned choices amplify flow. You're not just living a story, you're writing it in real time, one conscious choice at a time. Lesson 80. The field responds to surrender. Force often fails, but surrender opens the current. Thoth taught that willpower must be balanced by release. When you cling, you constrict the flow. When you trust, you let the field align with your essence. Surrender isn't weakness, it's strategic. Letting go is not giving up. It's stepping aside so truth can take shape. Lesson 81. Purpose is frequency, not a job title. Thoth never spoke of careers or roles. He described purpose as a frequency, a soul-level tone that animates your being. You don't find your purpose by overthinking, you feel it. It's what brings coherence to your actions, clarity to your path. When you align with that tone, everything external begins to organize itself around it. Lesson 82. Repetition is remembering. Cycles aren't failures, they're integration. Thoth understood that truth takes time to settle into the field. That's why lessons repeat, not because you're stuck, but because each return deepens the imprint. Honor the repetition. Don't shame yourself for spiraling back. Every loop is a chance to meet the moment with more awareness than the last. Lesson 83. Sacred work begins in the mundane. You don't need to escape your life to walk Thoth's path. The sacred isn't only in ceremony. It's in how you cook, breathe, speak, rest. Each moment is a chance to embody alignment. When you do simple things with presence, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. Enlightenment doesn't wait at the mountaintop. It waits in your next breath. Lesson 84. Initiation is a choice you make alone. No one anoints you. No ritual can give you what your own presence must claim. Thoth said, initiation is not granted. It's stepped into. The moment you stop waiting and begin living what you've heard, that's the moment you cross the threshold. No applause, no grand sign, just a quiet clarity that you've begun. That's when the real work starts. Lesson 85. Stillness attracts higher guidance. Thoth taught that guidance isn't always loud or dramatic. It whispers through silence. When you stop chasing answers and start listening, insights begin to emerge. The more still you become, the clearer the signal. Spirit doesn't compete with noise. It waits for your presence. Stillness is not absence. It is the invitation for higher intelligence to enter. Lesson 86. Energy is a language. Learn to speak it. You've been taught to speak with words, but Thoth revealed that the true language of creation is energy. How you feel, move, breathe, and intend says more than what you speak. Every gesture sends a message to the field. Are you saying I trust or I fear? Learn to speak in alignment and the universe begins responding fluently. Lesson 87. Resistance strengthens what you fight. The more you push against something, the more power you give it. Thoth emphasized non-resistance, not as passivity, but as mastery. When you stop fighting and start observing, energy softens. Resistance feeds distortion. Acceptance transmutes it. You win not by overpowering, but by integrating. The things you battle stay alive through your focus. Withdraw it, and they dissolve. Lesson 88. Rituals without presence are just movements. Thoth made it clear. Rituals are only as powerful as the awareness behind them. Lighting candles, chanting mantras, drawing symbols, these are empty if done unconsciously. Presence is the spark that makes ritual real. The energy you bring matters more than the form. With full awareness, even silence becomes ceremony. Lesson 89. The system is designed to keep you forgetting. You weren't born blind, you were trained to forget. Thoth warned that systems of power, media, education, religion are built to disrupt your resonance. They keep you busy, reactive, and doubtful. When you begin to remember, these systems push harder, not because you're wrong, but because you're waking up. If the noise increases, it means you're close. Lesson 90. Self-mastery is not self-control. It's self-understanding. Controlling your emotions isn't the goal. Thoth showed that mastery comes from understanding, not suppression. Know your triggers. Track your patterns. Befriend your shadows. Real strength isn't rigid, it's responsive. Self-mastery doesn't mean perfection. It means coherence. The more you know yourself, the less the world can throw you off center. Lesson 91. You are not here to escape. You're here to embody. The spiritual path isn't about floating away or avoiding the world. Thoth taught that embodiment is the true initiation. Bring your awareness into the body. Feel your presence in your hands, your breath, your choices. You are here to live the truth, not just think about it. Heaven isn't a destination. It's a vibration you bring to earth. Lesson 92. Patterns. Break through awareness, not willpower. You've been taught to force change. But Thoth revealed that awareness, not effort, is what breaks patterns. When you fully see a pattern, without judgment or resistance, it loses its grip. Willpower alone burns out. But clear seeing is transformational. The spotlight of consciousness dissolves what force cannot. Lesson 93. Death is a door, not a disappearance. Thoth called death the great passage, not the end, but the threshold. The body dissolves, but the field continues. Your frequency carries on. What you've integrated travels with you. The more aware you are in life, the smoother the transition in death. Don't fear the portal. Prepare for it with presence. You don't end, you evolve. Lesson 94. The higher you rise, the simpler it becomes. Thoth warned that true wisdom leads to simplicity. Complexity is a symptom of the ego. When you're truly aligned, you stop over-explaining. You start living with clarity, ease, and precision. The highest teachings are often the quietest. Truth doesn't shout, it resonates. As you rise, your life becomes more intentional, more spacious, more aligned. Lesson 95. Embodiment is the final initiation. You don't awaken by collecting teachings. You awaken by becoming the teaching. Thoth emphasized embodiment as the final step, not knowledge, not ritual. Embodiment. Can you walk as the aligned one? Not just talk about it. Can you be the frequency you admire? That's the real initiation. And it happens every moment you choose alignment over distraction. Lesson 96. You are the activation. You keep waiting for a teacher, a sign, a moment. But Thoth taught that you are the sign. Your awareness is the spark. Your willingness is the door. The teachings are not outside you. They're sleeping inside your memory, waiting to be lived. This message didn't find you by mistake. You're already the activation. Now embody it. Lesson 97. The spiral brings you back to power. Thoth showed that your path is not linear. It's a spiral of deepening. You return to lessons not because you failed, but because you're ready to embody them with more truth. The spiral doesn't trap, it empowers. What once broke you now refines you. Every return is a rising. You are not back where you started. You are higher than ever. Lesson 98. Collective awakening begins with personal alignment. You want the world to change? Start by tuning your own field. Thoth knew that one aligned being could shift the collective grid. You are a node in a web of energy. Every act of clarity, every moment of coherence strengthens the whole. Don't underestimate your frequency. One aligned soul ripples further than 1,000 unaware minds. Lesson 99. You are not alone in this remembrance. It may feel like you're the only one seeing through the illusion, but Thoth assured, many are awakening. Quietly, steadily, the scattered fragments are remembering. The illusion of separation is dissolving. Those who remember will find each other, not in noise, but in resonance. And together, they will rewrite what it means to be human. Lesson 100. You are always the key. The ancient texts, the symbols, the teachings, they all point inward. Thoth never wanted worship. He wanted remembrance. The codes were never locked. They were waiting for you to stop looking outside and start being what you've been seeking. You are the key. You always were. The moment you know this, not think it, but know it, everything changes. Closing reflection. So here we are, not at the end, but at the beginning. You have not just read ancient teachings, you've felt them. They stirred something old in you, something true. The system taught you to forget. These teachings ask you to remember, not for theory, not for status, but for embodiment. You are not just a seeker, you are a frequency, a temple, a spiral of light unfolding through human form. And now, the real work begins, not to perform, but to live. The illusion is cracking. The field is listening. The world is shifting. If these teachings resonated, type "awakened" in the comments. Let the algorithm know that real ones walk among us. Now go, not to follow, but to remember. Not to escape, but to become. Because the truth isn't out there. It's been inside you all along.